I like to pray that God would give me the character before the currency.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. I am back with my new friend, Kara Walker, and we are talking about college and universities and going to college debt-free so that your kids don't come out with a bunch of debt that they then have to struggle to pay off. That can really affect us as adults. And so Kara is here to help us. She has been very successful, not only in learning herself how to get through college and university debt-free, but in teaching others how to do that as well. And so one of the ways that she does that is through her podcast called Money and Mental Peace. We'll put links to that in the show notes. But before we jump back in, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, CTC Math. If you guys are looking for a great online math program, go to ctcmath.com. Try them out for free, ctcmath.com. All right, Kara, welcome back to the podcast. In yesterday's episode, you talked a lot about scholarships. Talk for a minute about grants, because I know grants are different. And, you know, as a mom and someone who's never been through the world of grants and scholarships and all that, those words terrify me. I'm like, I don't even know how to apply for any of those things. And I know that can be overwhelming for parents and students alike if that's not something that they've ever, delved into. So help us out to explain grants and then really quickly, I want you to kind of walk us through, like, how do you go about applying for these scholarships and grants?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me back. So totally two different things, but when you said how to apply, I will play off of scholarships real quick. Scholarships are an iceberg. The top of it is the the financial aid letter that you're going to get from your school. Like, you qualify for these loans and these scholarships. Like, that's great. But the next level is there's always, pretty much always, I've yet to not see this, a scholarship application for further scholarships at a school that you have to apply for, or your student does. Not just like they automatically think you'll qualify for this. No, you have to go for those. And then on top of that, or I guess below that, the iceberg, you have endowed scholarships and other departmental scholarships for whatever major department the student wants to go into. And endowed scholarships are like some rich family gave money because their student who had passed away also went into that program and they want the memory there. And that usually, like, you have to specifically find it and apply for. There's so many levels. And then there are just online databases like Scholarship Owl and scholarships.com. And I talk, I know we only have so much time here, but I talk about that quite a bit in my podcast, like how to go through all those filters and find those.
Okay.
And grants are different. Grants are awarded their government, their federal, their state. They're awarded through FAFSA, the federal free application for federal student aid. And yes, you need to apply for that. Even if you think you guys make too much money, they usually need to look at that to see if you qualify for grants or scholarships or even going to college. So you do it through the FAFSA to get a grant.
Okay. When do you apply for all these things?
Yep. Okay. Scholarships are like anytime. There are so many scholarships out there, even for students starting at like age 13, 14. People don't know that, but it's like they have to be used within like 5 years. They have it.
Okay.
A lot of those are some of those more general ones, like write this general scholarship essay about ice cream. I don't know, but they're more competitive because there's a lot more people doing that. But scholarships are just like anytime, all the time. Not even just for a school year. They're in the summer. People think there's like an end or a start. I mean, there are for some colleges. For specific colleges, there's usually a deadline. And it's usually sometime in the winter or spring before the next fall. But for these other ones out in the world, for businesses, there are a bunch of law firms that just have scholarships if you write an essay. Sometimes they're due in the middle of the summer. Scholarships are just like free reign. They're just like all over.
All over the place.
Grants really depend on, so there's a federal deadline for FAFSA, and that's quite long. It's usually in the summer before the fall start. There are state deadlines. You're going to state school, and there are also school deadlines, which is kind of annoying. There are all these deadlines. So my suggestion is get FAFSA done as soon as possible. It will open usually October the year before. Like
Okay.
this October, FAFSA will open for the next fall school year. So
Okay.
I would suggest getting it done before the next year starts. But FAFSA
Okay.
is only if you're going to school next year. This is like seniors in high school and
Right.
college students fill out FAFSA. You're not filling that
Okay.
out when you're in middle school.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's a lot to take in, but I'm so I'm so thankful that you have a podcast that helps explain all of this stuff in greater detail. I know you also have a course that you offer that helps walk parents through this. Talk really quickly about your course.
Absolutely. So can I mention real quick too, there are some grants that apply for financial need and some that apply for age. Like if your student is waiting to go to college till they're an independent student, I think it's like 24 now. That means they only count the student's income. And if the student is not making
Oh,
a ton of money, so I got a Pell Grant, even though I'm not like poor in the sense of like I had food and shelter and all the things, but I wasn't making a ton because I was in college. So when I was 24 and finishing things, I was finishing up, they're like, here's federal money. I was
nice.
not expecting that. So
Yeah.
yes, tie that in to the course. So my course is called the Debt Free College Blueprint, and it
Okay.
includes scholarships, strategy, accountability for walking a student step by step through to graduate debt free. It can be done in high school, in college, but I do start from the beginning of like a biblical mindset around money, and even like hitting some of those concerns about like people, like the verse, people think money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money is a
Right.
root of all kinds of evil. Is it an idol or are we going to use the funds for the kingdom? There's a
Yeah.
difference. Then there's, we talk about FAFSA, grants, scholarships, testing out of classes, choosing schools, how to look on stuff on the website, a little bit of essay writing, and then even things like getting paid to live your life, whereas I was essentially paid to take notes and do homework and work out when I worked at a gym there, and I
Okay. Wait,
got
wait,
to
back
work
up
out.
and explain that to me.
Okay. Some cool random hacks. Not only, we also talk about places to get super cheap textbooks, but
Okay.
I became a note taker. I was already in class that I was just going to be in that class for. There was a student with disability services that needed some help getting notes all down, couldn't get it down fast enough. So I had the paper that has like a back, like it bleeds into the other piece of paper and you tear it off. And I would take my normal notes, sit in class like I was going to do anyways, and I am a meticulous note taker because I am annoying and over conscientious. And I got paid. I mean, it was minimum wage, but if you're sitting in class and get paid minimum wage to
Sure.
take notes, and then I would tear it off and give it to the student, and I did work. That's what I did.
Wow.
And then I was a student worker. I had work study. That's a whole nother thing with FAFSA. You can find that on my podcast about work study. And I got paid to sit there, answer phones, and like divert the calls to where they needed to go. But it wasn't a crazy busy department. And I just sat and did my homework and got paid. At
Oh, wow.
another point, I worked at a gym. And when it wasn't super busy, I just worked out waiting for people to come in. And that is great for your mental health in college,
Right.
let me tell you. So I tell people, like, I just tried to live my life the most efficient way to make money, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And
Yeah.
just what I was already going to be doing, see if I could get paid for it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
What we do at IEW is break through the noise of the grammar and the writing prompts, and we say, this is what you do, step by step. And I've witnessed it over and over again, both watching Andrew teach and hearing from parents, this is the best writing program. We've made it so easy and made it really affordable. So any mom can teach writing to their children using our course, and we guarantee it.
To try 3 weeks of free lessons, visit IEW.com. We are back with Kara. Real quick, you were talking about your course, and it's called Debt Free College Blueprint, and you can find it at debtfreecollegeblueprint.com, correct, is the website?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And in that, you walk parents through what you're talking about this week, but in way more detail, correct?
Let me clarify. So the podcast is to who I was. So I'm mostly talking to the college student. But if you're like, I listen to podcasts that's for moms, and I'm not a mom. So like, if you're
Right.
okay with listening to the podcast and I say I'm talking like to the student. So the
Right.
course is talking to the student, but
Okay.
if you're okay with being called a student, everything that's in there is applicable for the parent. And if you're that
Okay.
homeschool family that's got the 8 kids, do it once and do it for all your kids.
Right, right, right. Okay, okay, fantastic. We'll put a link to that. I just want to ask you in these last few minutes, I want to just kind of take a different detour in this conversation. Because you were homeschooled, I would love to know just some advice that you have for, and I'm not even talking related to finances and scholarships in college and stuff, but just as a Christian homeschool girl who's now in your 20s, looking back, what is some advice that you would give to a Christian homeschool parent, and then advice that you would give to a Christian homeschooled student?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I would say to the parent, let's talk to the parent real quick. I say we like I'm a parent. I listen to too many parenting podcasts. We
You can
want
say
to
we.
shelter our students, and that is great because, like, nothing wrong with sheltering to a point. But in my thoughts, if people are even concerned about college, I mean, you decide to go to a public school, private school, Christian school, whatever. But what my parents really did is they let well, I mean, once I was an adult, I could just do it. But they let me go out into the world, and they were beside me or behind me, supporting
Yeah.
me. And so the idea was, we, for example, my dad loves movies. We watched movies. Some, I mean, I didn't get crazy R-rated movies or whatever, but like we watched movies that some of my friends couldn't watch, and I'm not talking about like sexual content or anything, but like,
Right.
and then we would talk about it, and he'd use it as a learning experience. Like I learned all about religions from like martial arts movies and other, Middle Eastern
Yeah.
cultures. The idea is like it's great to shelter your kids, but shelter them with the umbrella over both you and them,
Hmm.
because if you're sheltering them to a point and then they go out into the world and don't know how to interact with the world, I
Right.
feel like that can be more of a detriment to let's hold hands, but maybe not literally because it could be awkward, if they're like
Right.
18, but like let's hold hands and let's go look at this college. Let's go see this movie. Let's go do this and like let the world in to a point, to not be of the world, right? But to be in the world
Right.
and to talk about it together. And then there's the opportunity to soak in a biblical worldview to whatever comes their way. So I actually went to a public community college, a public university. I lived at home. There was still that foundation. Also, I was cheaper. I mean, that's really why I didn't want to pay for
Right.
room and board. But like, I mean, it just like I left for the day, like your student's going to be doing when they work, unless they might be working in a Christian setting, that would be awesome. But if they're going to
Right.
go be an accountant and work there, like it's great to get your student used to going out into the harvest field, right, or whatever,
Right.
and then coming back home to safety. And I just feel like to not be afraid to let your kid slowly branch out to that point, but where you're still in their corner. I think that's
Right.
kind of like I've seen fear for that. And you don't have
Yeah.
to send your kid to a public school. That's not what I'm saying. But like it worked amazingly for me because like I wanted to be done debt free. And then I still lived at home and I had all of that emotional support.
Yeah.
That's really it to be. And then encouragement to a student, I think dream about your life. Like where do you want to be and want to be doing, and not like practically. Like I feel like Christians sometimes are too practical, which is great to be practical, but like people might judge me for saying this immediately, but I want to be a millionaire because there's so much I want to give, and I want to not have to work all the time, and I want to go on mission trips, and I want all this other stuff. And money is a tool, but it can be a terrible tool or it can be a
Right.
fantastic tool. And go read the parable of the talents. Like the money was given to the one who responsibly used it, and then he had even more than everyone else. Like what do you want to do? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to it doesn't have to be outlandish. It can just be normal. But like what do you want to
Right.
do? Um compound interest is going to get you there. Go read the book, The Latte Factor. Compound interest is insane. It's the eighth wonder of the world, Einstein said. And it's like, if you graduate from college debt free and can start investing right away instead of putting that money into student loans paying back, you could be a millionaire by like 60 or
Wow.
40. I mean, go join the FIRE community, financial independence, retire early. Like, just get crazy excited. Like, if you need motivation and encouragement to graduate debt free, I'm kind of going that angle a little bit.
Yeah.
Get crazy informed about finances and excited about how compound interest can grow, and you could just be paid to travel around or do whatever you want because you've grown. Like I feel like get some education on a biblical mindset of money, and then on how it's crazy to grow. I think that would just inspire you that the things you want to do in life are actually attainable if you have those funds. But also I like to pray that God would give me the character before the currency, because you want to have the currency, but if you have the character first, then you can handle it well. So that's what I would do to people.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm not at all offended by you saying that. I think it's amazing. You know, people are afraid to say things like that sometimes, but I love the angle that you come at it from, and that you want to use, you know, what God has taught you and what he's teaching you still to impact his kingdom. And so, you know, that's amazing. There's no better thing than to impact God's kingdom and to serve his people with the resources that he's entrusted to you. So, Kara, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom this week and all of the knowledge that you have about this topic. This is stuff that I've never considered. I don't know anything about any of this. And so this is really, really helpful. And I really do appreciate you sharing with us. You guys check out Kara's podcast, Money and Mental Peace. We'll put links to that in the show notes. Also her course, debtfreecollegeblueprint.com is where you can find that. And thank you, Kara, for being with us this week. We're
Thank you for
very
having
grateful
me.
for
I was honored. This is like a big podcast for me to be on. So I am impressed by all that you have and have done in the movie and all the things.
Oh, thank you. All by God's grace. Truly, truly, all by his grace and for his glory. So thank you guys for listening so much. If you guys have been blessed financially and you are able to and desire to support the ministry of Schoolhouse Rocked, we would love to have your financial support. Go to schoolhouserocked.com, click on the donate button, and you can donate. You can do a one-time donation. You can do a monthly donation, whatever the Lord puts on your heart. And if you can't, we would love for you to just pray for the ministry. Pray that the Lord would continue to move this ministry forward so that we can impact families like yours. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back with you on Monday with another fantastic guest. Bye.
Education is discipleship, and this is something I didn't understand until I was probably 3 years into homeschooling. The Bible teaches us in Luke 6:40 that when a student is fully trained, he will be like his teacher. And as we look around the culture right now, I think it begs the question, who is teaching our children? Who is teaching our children, and what are they teaching our children? And to me, the primary benefit of having my children home with me is I am able to impart my worldview to my children.